When someone passes away, leaves this world, there's a very big mitzvah, huge, wonderful, good deed to do, and that is to comfort the mourners. And there's a age-old phrase that we say in a mourner's house called a shiva. In Hebrew, it is Hamakom Yenachem Eschem. May God comfort you. Shar Avelitzim B'Yushalayim, amongst the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. This particularly beautiful phrase. First of all, we refer to God as Hamakom, which means literally the place. God's the place. Because in the end, God is the place of comfort. And may he comfort you if someone has a loss, right? He is the place. Because in one's heart, they've lost somebody. There's a place in their heart that's broken. And only Hamakom, the real place, right? God being the ultimate place, can bring comfort. Furthermore, it says, may God, again, Hamakom referring to God, give you comfort amongst. So amongst, in other words, you're not alone. Important. When someone is suffering from a personal loss, so our sages give this phrase to let the individual know you're amongst. And who are you amongst? The mourners of Zion and Jerusalem, those who mourn the Holy Temple and its destruction, meaning the Jewish people and the destruction that we have. So we're all mourners because we have a collective connection in the fact that collectively for the Jewish people, we're in exile, where the third Holy Temple has not been built. The second one was destroyed in the year 69 of the Common Era. And therefore, we have a commonality in the sense of mourning. And therefore, your personal mourning for who you've lost is a collective one of Jewish people. A beautiful insight and beautiful empowerment and comfort for someone who is mourning. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We begin the 28th letter. This letter, like the previous letter, was written to comfort a mourner. And the mourner was no one less than Rav Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, the famed, righteous Rav Levi Yitzchak, who was a relative by marriage to the Alter Rebbe, had grandchildren that married, famous rabbi. He was a Gaon, godly man, holy man of God, Lamb of Israel, pillar of the right hand, mighty hammer, our master of Levi Yitzchak. His son passed away, Reb Meir. The Alter Rebbe is writing a letter to him in condolences and to give comfort. So this letter is begins with words of Torah. And the Alter Rebbe asks a question: why is it that the passing of Miriam being the older sister of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Moses, when she passes away, it's juxtaposed to the law of the red heifer. The red heifer is the law of someone who comes in contact with a human corpse. They become spiritually impure, and they need purification through the process of the red heifer, of a sprinkling of the waters from the burning of the red heifer, together with the hyssop and the waters, and so on. And they're juxtaposed to each other. So the sages in the Talmud pick up on it, and they say to teach us that just as the red heifer brings atonement, so does the passing of the righteous. Miriam, being a righteous individual, her passing brings atonement to the people. That's statement from the Talmud. Now, the Alter Rebbe's questions, how do we understand this? If it's to bring atonement, fine, we get that. But why is it specifically adjoined, her passing in the Torah verses, with the red heifer and not the sin offering that would be brought on an altar? And explains because the red heifer, it's kind of attributed that it is an atonement, a sin it brings atonement, but really it's more about cleansing than it is about atonement. So if you want to bring the idea of atonement, well, that's bringing an offering on the altar, which is in, the holy temple, as opposed to the red heifer. The process of it is done outside of the temple. It's got a qualification of atonement, of a sin offering, but really it's more about cleansing. More specifically, atonement would be attributed to a sin offering that's brought in the holy temple on the altar, and through that altar you'll get atonement. So that's a question. So to explain this, the Alter Rebbe says we need to understand the mystical principle of sacrifices offered on the altar, as the Zohar explains, together with Rabbi Zakluria, the Arizal. And the concept is that bringing an offering on the altar is what we call an elevation from below to above. Feminine waters from below, they rise up and they bring out the masculine waters from above to descend down below. So he explains that the animal that you put on the altar as an offering, that animal touches the spiritual counterpart of animal above, which is from Ezekiel's chariot, that on it is that bears the throne of the four animals: the lion, the ox. One second. One is man also. Eagle, yes. Right, that face of eagle, lion, ox. So it goes to that spiritual level above, and going to that spiritual level above, now descends down below. It elicits from above, down below, a light, a divine light that brings atonement. Brings atonement. Why an animal on the altar? Because it's food. It's heavenly food that it represents, and therefore brings down, again, if you will, divine food of atonement, divine light. just like food is ingested. So this light is ingested and it brings an atonement. That's a concept of a sacrifice on the altar. Just give some other terms to it. The animal on the altar is like the animal, my animal in me, the animal soul that was responsible for the sin that I did. So God in his kindness allows me to bring the animal instead of myself on the altar. And therefore, to bring proper, and that's what I'm giving on the altar, is a piece of me in this animal that ascends on high to, as we said, to the chariot that bears the throne, which has the face of the eagle, the ox, and the lion, and of man. And then elicits that masculine waters above that now shower down here below in bringing atonement. Now, as for the red heifer, it, however, is done differently. It's about taking some cedar wood with hyssop, and it's about drawing down sanctity from above through the running waters and the ashes of the red heifer. And as in the Mishnah, it's called Kiddush Mechatos, the sanctification of the purifying waters. It is different than the offering on the altar, as it is called dew, D-E-W, as opposed to on the altar, it's like rain, right? So you have, just like rain, you have to have mist going up, that therefore then come droplets of rain down from the mist that goes up. So that was by the sin offering on the altar, that there is you and your intent of that, your animal soul that was responsible for the sin, that you're putting that on the altar of God. It rises up, and then it rains down with an atonement, a cleansing. Here it's different. It's not from down up. It is starting from up down. And that's why it's like dew. Dew comes from above. It's not a reciprocal creation of the water that comes down. It's completely a heavenly thing. Kabbalistic terminology for this, the red heifer, is the supreme chokhmah of the hidden mind of Erechampin, of long faces. Not going to get what that means. It means in the divine will, the hidden intelligence that's there, that comes a divine light that is not precipitated through our effort to elicit it from on high, comes directly from on high. And therefore, it has the capability of transforming darkness into light. And that is the idea of taking the shattering of the vessels that happen in the world of Tohu, and to extract the sparks that are there and to refine it. And therefore, it has the capability of taking someone who has come in contact with a corpse, a human corpse, the idea of death, and transforming the ultimate is in death, to transform that into life. And that's the idea of the red heifer. Red heifer is an individual came in contact with a corpse. They become spiritually defiled. And through the red heifer, right, as we explained, the Kabbalistic idea of this divine level, you're not eliciting it from your effort, it's down up, it's not a up down um, effort that is the idea of on the altar of God, but here it is to be able to transform death, which, life and death come from God. So the fact that someone's come in contact with an impurity of death, of a corpse, it's something that is from above that gives us the capacity to bring a cleansing to us down here. That's the sanctification of purifying waters, drawn from the supreme chachma, divine wisdom, of the hidden wisdom that is found in Erachampin, in the divine will. Transcending the world, it transcends the world. And that's why it's able to bring purity to the impure who have come in contact with death, as death is part of this world. So you need to touch a higher place than that. I hope that was clear, because that was a deep, profound, mystical idea. Have the difference between a sacrifice on the altar that we elicit the light of God, and then something that we don't elicit through our divine service, but God gives us the capacity that we can bring a cleansing to an impurity that we've come in contact with through the red heifer. How that ties in with Miriam and her passing, in tomorrow's class we'll understand why it's specifically her passing is connected to the red heifer and not to a regular sacrifice on the altar. More to come to appreciate life. A reminder, we're going to have Rambam now. Tonight, 6:30, will be the Torah studies on the Parsha. Come and join us. You want to be a part of that at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And at 8 o'clock will be TRC, the Tanya Rabbi Community. Anybody that's interested in that, please reach out to me. A reminder, this Wednesday, Thursday will be our matching campaign. You don't have to wait until then to go on our site. You go on the site, charity with a D.com/chutzpah or CZK, either one. And actually, and you can be a part of. Oh, I spelled it wrong. How do you like that? To redo that. And it looks like it doesn't go on all channels. I don't know if it went on any channel. Whoever can help out with the campaign, please let me know. Be greatly appreciated. As we need help. Oh, thank you, Elise. Whoever else can put up on YouTube, anywhere else. Do we have any questions? Any comments? Vicky has a question. All righty. Which came first? The red heifer, or you mean, or the sacrifice on the altar? I don't know. Which came first? Can you There it is. Vicky, I'm not clear on your question. You mean the offering on the altar or the red heifer? Well, in Torah portions, in the book of Leviticus, you already have offerings, and the passing of Miriam, Parshas Chukas in the fourth book um, of Bamidbar, of Numbers. So, in that sense, the offering on the altar came first. If that's what your question, I'm not certain if I got that clear. Yeah, okay. So I did get it. Yeah. Yeah, so the sacrifice is first in the book of Leviticus. In the beginning, it starts about sacrifices. And only much later, um, actually, it's in the 40th year, because that's when Miriam passes away, 39th or 40. In the 40th year, she passes away. And the sacrifices were mentioned already in the second year. Thank you. All righty. Since we don't have the how does one become pure after coming in contact with it? If we can't become pure today. And important that the purity is because you need to be pure to come to the holy temple. That's the reason why you need purity. You don't need to eat breakfast in purity. You don't need to go to work in complete purity. But if you are going to the holy temple for a holiday, right, then you need to go in purity. Well, we're waiting for Mashiach for the third holy temple. So then these laws would be, significant. So right now they're only significant in not just in preparation for the third and final holy temple, Mashiach, but because of it's part of Torah, God's wisdom, and by learning it, we learn about the divine wisdom, and of course, and how it applies in our lives today. So it does apply, absolutely. The spiritual idea of it. And more of that will come in tomorrow's class. Mm-hmm. Just a nice way to keep you coming. Come tonight, 6:30. Torah studies, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. TRC. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure